Okay, working around the eye now. I'm going to put a layer of ivory just right around the eye, just light. Make sure you move in the direction of the fur. I've got a few lines around here that I want to get rid of. This area is pretty light, so I don't want to have my pencil lines showing. I might not be able to cover them. That one's kind of a deep line. Okay. So I'm just going to work around the eye. I'm using a sharp pencil. So I'm just going to build the color up here first before I add any kind of the individual shadows in between the fur. So usually it's really the shadows that make the dark lines. I mean, sometimes like below, right in this area, you do have dark fur, but up here it's lighter fur, and then the shadows are what are causing the lines. Okay. I'm gonna get my Tombow Mono eraser and try and get rid of these a little bit better. I'm erasing right here because where I had that black, it was kind of bleeding into the ivory. Looking for my brush. I knew I brought it over here. Okay. Picking my ivory back up. It's hard to see where I've gone over already on this white paper, but I can see a little bit. I'm being careful not to go too much into the black because it will drag it out. Because the polychromos, you can move their pigment around a lot easier than the oil-based pencils. The wax-based pencils. These are oil-based. But the Caran d'Ache and the Luminance and the Prismacolor are wax, and they're harder to move around. Okay, I'm just focusing on right around the eyes because I want to make sure that color looks right before moving on. That's kind of how I do things. I make sure it's working okay before I take this to another area. So right now I'm using the beige red. Lightly going over top of wherever I put down the ivory. Going in the fur direction. I don't know if you can hear my dishwasher, but I apologize if you can. I just ran it not thinking, and it runs forever. So I don't really want to wait 3 hours, and then the lighting would be bad. Maybe it'll cover up the sounds of Lakota licking himself over there on the chair. All right. The next one I want to do is let's do warm gray 1. Real light. Just building up the color. Probably gonna whip out some cream color because it's more yellow than what I'm seeing right here. Okay, so Polychromos cream. Sharpen it. Okay. Let's get some Beaster. Maybe some brown ochre. So there's some kind of yellowy hues here and above that area. Let's go with the brown ochre. It's got a little bit more of a punch to it. Okay, so now that I have that layer of kind of that creamy color down, I'm gonna start drawing some more fur lines. So I don't want to cover the entire area. I wonder if I can zoom in on that anymore. Sometimes it automatically focuses and it's frustrating. Let's try that. So I'm seeing these different, more yellow fur lines up top here. And the key for the fur is to make sure you're going in the correct direction of the fur. So that'll give you a texture that looks like fur. transfers coming off to the side, kind of a sweeping motion. I don't know why Lakota is so itchy over there. He is on flea medicine. Poor little guy. Okay, so this is kind of a scary part right here. So I'm just trying to put some of these shadows in between the fur. I'm using dark sepia. I'm going to go very lightly. We can always continue to add layers until we're happy with it. So I think it's best to start light, and then you can always add more layers on top. Doing the same thing under the eye. I'm not trying to follow every hair because that would be insane. So just kind of look at the reference photo and make some marks going in that area, in that general direction. There's some little triangle-y things here. I don't know if you can hear him, but he's driving me nuts. Super light. And I kind of do crisscross motions too, because that's what I see on the reference photo. The hairs aren't straight going out in the same direction. They overlap. Okay, I'm looking at the corner of the eye. I'm just trying to figure out what color. I think I'm gonna go for Caput Mortem. I'm gonna sharpen it. Don't know what I did with my pencil sharpener. It's kind of a brown right here. No. I'm gonna go for burnt sienna, real light. I just want to define this section of the eye so that gives it a little bit more depth. And I like the way that color looks on top of our other layer, so I'm gonna put some of that in here where we were putting the brown ochre. You know, of course, when you go to record, the dog licks himself, the dishwasher's going. Usually my husband calls and I forgot to turn the ringer off. So I'm just putting some more color on here. Gently with the burnt sienna. I think in this area I'd like some more color, so in this part I'm gonna do some beige red. I keep wanting to say light flesh. Go changing color names. Maybe over here. Okay, I think that's okay. Maybe mix that with a little bit more cream right here. Now, the thing to remember is we can always come back and add things, fix things. But I think that's okay for that eye, just surrounding that eye. So I'm going to do the next eye. Going to fill in around this right eye before moving on. I'm going to erase some of these lines again. I don't want to erase all of them because I'm not going all the way out to where they are, and I want to keep them as placeholders. I want to get rid of anything that is going to show through the cream color. I like to use a brush on these types of surfaces, this type of paper, to get rid of the eraser marks, but or the pieces of eraser. But just be careful if you do that, because if I went like pulled this down across this eye, I could move the pigment around. Had to take a Zevia soda break. Okay, so we're gonna start with the ivory again. Being careful not to smear with the black that's around the eyes. And moving in the direction of the fur. Using really light pressure so we can get some layers in here to build up this color. Got that eraser mark right there. Let me get rid of it just in case. Yeah, so, I've blown on my drawings. I'm sure you have too. And the dangerous thing about that is you can get some saliva on it. Okay, moving under the eye. Be careful right here where I have this black. Black and cream. That does not look good. You can draw black over the cream, but if you try and, I don't know, you just have to be careful. You don't smear it. So then what we did was, what? It's beige red. This is one of my favorite color combinations. Works really well for the light parts of orange animals. That's ivory, beige red, and like a warm gray 1 or 2. Just kind of being sloppy here, hatching this in. Trying to figure out my pencil marks here. This is why I say don't put too many pencil marks in, because then you don't know what's going on. I'm not sure what that was about. So even though I'm hatching it in, I'm still trying to go in the direction of the fur. So I find what you do on the bottom layers kind of helps your other pencil strokes to go in that similar way when you're building. All right, so I was just pulling that down further. Which I suppose I could have done on the other eye, but I did not. I think that's right. Then, so this black spot is right here. Okay, then we did warm gray 1, and then I think I added some cream. Okay, some cream. Oh, now I gotta fly. All kinds of distractions. But I am carrying on. Probably likes my lights. That was Addie, if you heard that. She is sleeping like a good girl on the couch. Okay. So then, we're using that brown ochre, which I used to think was such a scary color, but I really like it now. I thought it was hideous, to be honest with you. I must have sharpened this with that one pencil sharpener that makes them long. It's not terribly sharp though. So, brown ochre, especially, and here's where I'm going to start putting some fur strokes in here. So when you do that, just make sure you leave some of the base layer showing. So I'm just I'm not covering this whole thing because I need to start showing some fur texture. Moving in the direction that the fur is going. Kind of crisscross. so it doesn't look like blades of grass. You might want to add some burnt ochre. I'm not adding this everywhere because I don't see it everywhere. Just kind of looking for where I think it is. And I'm doing this really lightly. Some on the side. I'm not seeing a lot of tonal change on this side. So I'm going to be even lighter right here. I'm going to carry these lines up. This is where the fur continues. So with animals like cats and dogs that have the longer fur, the direction of the fur is key into seeing the shapes. The kind of the structure of the animal's face around the eyes and the nose and such. So it's really important to try and get the direction right. Okay, so let's put a little of that dark sepia and see what we can do. Try and find it. This is a really good gray. It's a brown gray for when you're doing warm areas, and this is a warm area on this cat. If you did a Payne's gray, it might look kind of funky. That's just something you figure out with trial and error over time. I'm trying to be really light here and thin lines. This piece goes down like that. I don't think I wrote this down enough. I didn't do this on the other side, but I'm kind of mapping in where this black spot goes with dark sepia. Not completely covering the area. It's kind of a tricky spot where everything starts going in different directions. Okay, I'm gonna leave that be. As we move down into this area, the hairs get really short. So we'll have to make sure that we represent them with shorter strokes. I don't really see a lot of sepia lines here, so I'm gonna pick up the burnt sienna, sharpen it again. So this is burnt sienna, so I'm going to add fur lines right above the iris. Got hairs coming in. Looking for my burnt ochre. Just gonna add a little bit of that where it seems really orangey. Kind of glazing it. So glazing is just rubbing a little bit of the color off. To me, it seems orangey here and here. I'm just putting a little bit more ivory and careful when I brush it. Okay, I think that's good for now. And then we'll move on to the next part.